For those of you who have telescopies, it is not always a part of our solar system. Light speed travel. The Niberian entities, that is, Nibiru, is, let me draw this first. Good nuts. Episode 2. Pseudoscience Sunday Spectacular. Today we will be discussing another theory that is not very widely accepted by the broader scientific community, and that is the 10th planet Nibiru. And by the way, I regard Pluto as a planet, a dwarf planet. That's just totally nonsensical. It doesn't make any sense at all. So, as you may know, we have a solar system. That's the sun, and this is, I'm not going to write out all the names, but that's Mercury. Then there's Venus, it's a little bigger. And then Earth, everyone knows Earth, they live there. And then you got Mars, and it's Jupiter, which is big, a gas giant. And you got Saturn. That one's got rings around it. I believe the next one in line, I believe Neptune comes before Uranus. That's about that size. Then you got Uranus, of course. It's also got a ring. But not as many as old Saturn does. And then, of course, Pluto. So before I forget, I thought I'd do a little fun something or other to keep everyone entertained and involved in the PSS. So that's Pseudoscience Sunday Spectacular. So I regard Pluto as a planet, and very few other scientists do. So I would like everyone to comment below that Pluto is in fact a planet. And I've seen this done before on other channels. This is not a vote. You are not voting whether or not Pluto is or is not a planet. You are only allowed to put that Pluto is a planet. I don't want to see anything else. That's garbage. So Nibiru, the 10th planet. Wait, let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, yeah, the 10th planet. Nibiru. Now, you may be wondering, for those of you who have telescopies, you might wonder why you look up into the night sky and you don't see it. Well, that is because it is not always a part of our solar system. Now, you may ask why this might be. That is because Nibiru is, let me draw this first, it'll start to make sense. the Niberian entities, that is, the people who live on Nibiru, they have turned their planet into it's capable of light speed travel. So they're going all around the galaxy, And they stumble across this place called Earth. We'll discuss later why Earth is important in this equation. But they find this place called Earth and they make contact down there. And what they do is, the people they make contact with are make contact with a little town called Egypt. You may have heard of it. That's a pharaoh. It wore these kinds of hats. Only the pharaoh got to wear them because he's big time. So they come down to Egypt. And what they want is, they want our gold because their planet's atmosphere is dying. Prior to the Niberian entities' contact with the Egyptians, the human race was not concerned in the slightest with gold. First of all, it's heavy, relatively speaking, compared to other metals. It's very soft, again, relatively speaking to other metals. And really the only use anyone had for it was that it was yellow. So not a whole lot of uses. But the Niberian entities, they certainly have a use for it. And I'll explain how. Nibiru's atmosphere is not oxygen. It's not oxygen. I'm gonna write on this piece of paper now. It's the elemental symbol for what their atmosphere is composed of. Okay, a lot of chemistry people guess it before I say it. AU, which is the elemental symbol for gold. Now you may be thinking, gold is a solid. Melt it down and it's a liquid, but there's no way you can melt it to a hot enough temperature where it can become a gas. Well, the Niberian entities, they were able to find a way. And that's why they chose Earth. So, before we get into that, let's discuss what they did with the Egyptians and how they made them love gold. So the Niberian entities convinced the Egyptians that gold was this great thing, and they kind of set up a trade with them. So they got the Egyptians to mine the gold. That's a box of gold that has just been mined in a gold mine shaft. This might be in the way, I just realized. That's a camel, which is like a desert horse, commonly used at the time for transportation. It's got a hump it puts water in. Let's talk about how they conducted this trade. Now, one of the world's most recognizable landmarks are the pyramids. And what the pyramids did, this is the planet Nibiru. They weren't tombs. That was a clever ruse that the ruling Egyptians thought of, and history remembered it that way, but that's not true. The pyramids would teleport the gold up to the planet Nibiru. And that was how the trade was conducted. And the Nibirians would send them with technology. I didn't realize I put those there. The Nibirian atmosphere. Nibirian atmosphere consisted of atomized gold, which is gold in its gaseous state. Now there is a process to put gold from a solid state into a gaseous state, and it is as follows. I will draw it out and explain it. Here's the process. Gold starts out in its solid state. The Nibirians would bring it to a boil, and they would transport the boiling hot gold up to the planet, where they would then take it to their ice facility and pour it over ice. And this steam, that steam is the atomized gold. It's not water steam, it's atomized gold steam. So where was this ice facility? Oh, I'm glad you asked. I'll show you now. They took it to the North Pole. That was meant to be a snowflake. And that's jolly old St. Nicholas, Santa Claus. I thought I'd throw it in for the kids. And then that's the Earth where the North Pole is. So this is the real reason why the Nibirian entities chose the Earth. It's because it had life. They could trick the beings on the planet to harvest the gold for them. And there was ice reserves and gold, of course. And yeah, there is no ice on Nibiru because, well, it's obviously a very hot planet with the atomized gold floating, having to make up its atmosphere. Now, you may be remembering from the last episode that the North Pole was also discussed. Well, that is because once again, the Anunnaki returned. It was a Anunnaki and Nibirian entity alliance that began around the time of the ancient Egyptians, and of course it still remains today. You may be wondering, you may remember that the Anunnaki were famously the creatures of the South Pole. However, they conquered the entirety of the Earth's interior by this point. minus the exception of Shambhala, which was where the giants, the race of giants, sought refuge. Nibiru comes in and out of the solar system. Let me. Where's my? There's that. That's the diagram of what their propulsion systems look like. Come on, where's that? I'll stick it together. What do I do with that? Oh, there it is. So I mentioned that Nibiru enters and exits our solar system. This is done in a interval that is usually around. I don't think I even showed it. This is our solar system. I was trying to find that. This happens every about 3,600 years or so. They enter our solar system, and what they'll do is they will first make contact with the Anunnaki, which in turn relay the information they have gotten from traveling throughout the universe, Milky Way galaxy particularly. They haven't gotten out of the galaxy, not to anyone's knowledge. The Nibirians, what was I saying? The Nibirians go out into the far reaches of space and develop all this advanced technology, which they then give to the Anunnaki, which is part of why their technology is so advanced, who in turn give it to people like the ruling class nowadays, the Egyptians benefited from advanced Anunnaki technology. That's how they were able to build the pyramids. They treat us basically like a gas station. They really only harvest the gold from our planet just because it's, quite frankly, very convenient for them. Like I said, it's got the three elements they need: a life force, or not a life force. They have a living, life. That's what I'm getting at. There's life on the planet, intelligent life that can mine they can harvest the gold, and large amounts of ice. So, yes. So, in the end, it kind of ties back to the Anunnaki and their power. But if you look into things as I do, you kind of notice that, that everything really does, in some way, in some capacity or another. Some things are exempt, but yes, I believe this is where I will conclude the second episode of the Pseudoscience Sunday Spectacular. Thank you for watching, and good day and good nuts to you.